It's Oshkosh Live, powered by Redbird Flight. It's me, Sean Bean, here with, once again, the editor of Plane and Pilot, Kayla McLeod.
Hey, Sean.
What's up? We have a pretty awesome package coming up for you in a few minutes, highlighting Kayla's excellent adventure with the Goodyear Blimp yesterday. But first, we came across this TikTok that shows how the Blimps get to Oshkosh.
Ready with me to go to Oshkosh. I'm super excited because I'm going with my sister this year, and we're kind of going to be the stars of the show. Anyway, I started with an everything shower, obviously. Need to make sure I look good. Shout out to the crew for going 80 feet in the air to make it happen. Then they give me a pep talk and belly rubs cause I'm kind of high maintenance. Anyway, then we pack up the ground vehicles. Speaking of high maintenance, we travel with 20 people and a dozen cars because the squad rolls deep. Then final fit check and it's time to fly. See you there.
Better way to lead into this next segment. So Kayla, why don't you go ahead and tee up what the audience is going to be seeing?
Oh my gosh, Sean. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. I truly don't know how else to put it. 0.006 of Americans have flown on the Goodyear Blimp. So let's get straight into it. I wanted to take you all along for the ride, so let's go. Everyone, Kayla McLeod here with Plane and Pilot Magazine, and we are at Pioneer Field at EAA AirVenture Oshkosh, and we're about to go for a ride in the one and only Goodyear Blimp. All right, we just loaded up on the Blimp. This is definitely a first. I cannot wait. This is unlike any cockpit I have ever seen before. I've had the privilege of flying a lot of really cool stuff in Oshkosh, but this is unlike anything. We're literally watching the air show right now. The visibility is incredible. My only complaint thus far is there's no air conditioning, but that is like, who cares? We're on the Goodyear Blimp. All right, I'm here with Joe, one of the Goodyear Blimp pilots. We are up over the show right now, having the time of our lives. Joe, how did you get into flying the Goodyear Blimp?
You know, I ask myself that question every day. We all have different backgrounds, come from different walks of life, have different paths to get here. I'm retired Air Force. I flew corporate for about 3.5 years or so. I dabbled in the airlines, didn't like that at all. I was looking for another corporate job when I saw the posting for this. You know, it's different every day. Not a single one of you people showed up today for a Blimp ride saying, "Oh my gosh, I got to get on a Blimp today." And I feed off of that energy. We all do. Everybody's happy. We could have a bumpy ride. It's hot up here. You guys are still going to get off today and say that was awesome.
What's your words of wisdom for those young, maybe student pilots?
I would say just be a good pilot and learn as much as you can about flying whatever it is you're flying. We got helicopter guys. We got guys that have come from airlines, like military, like me. You know, I mean, we have different backgrounds. We have a couple of our newest guys, folks are, the former instructor pilots. But the key is, learn as much and do as much in whatever aviation job you're doing, and until you get to the point. Learn a lot about weather, and then it wouldn't hurt to at some point go back and rehash a couple of those high school physics classes about Charles' Law, Boyle's Law, Archimedes' Principle and stuff, because you have to learn that stuff all over again when you become a Blimp pilot. The Blimp itself weighs, without any helium in it, weighs about 19,500 pounds.
Wow.
Full helium, today we weigh about 700 pounds, about 350 kilograms. We use kilograms, and we use cubic meters of helium for volume, because 1 cubic meter of helium lifts 1 kilogram of weight. So it's an easy math thing for us to work with. So anyways, right now we're actually heavier than air. So we got 3 engines, 3 Lycoming IO 360 4-cylinder 200 horsepower engines. There's 2,000
million of those
2,000
out
of them
there.
parked out on a ramp today, right? They're all over the place. So real common aviation engine. Driving our big 9-foot wide props up front, and then it drives 2 propellers on the aft engine. So when we take off, in order to get that 700 pounds that we weigh right now off the ground, we swivel those engines up, and that gives us our initial lift, kind of like a helicopter, right? Well, once we start moving through the air, the whole shape of the blimp is an airfoil. So as we're moving through the air, we start to create our own lift. Now we can swivel the engines down, and they're just giving us thrust. They're flat, giving us thrust. We have 3 engines worth of thrust. And the rest of that just airfoil shape is lifting at 700 pounds. If we were to shut down the engines right now or pull them to idle and slow down, we'd lose that dynamic lift and start to sink. So as we take off and climb into the air, that helium expands. The whole big airship's filled with helium. Inside there's 2 airbags. So as that helium expands, those airbags deflate. We use those airbags to regulate the overall pressure. When we descend, that helium will contract again. Those airbags will reinflate. At night, it's cool out. That helium's nice and condensed. The sun comes out. It expands. Those helium bags deflate. We fly underneath a cloud here today, and it's going to cool down a little bit. The helium will condense. They'll reinflate. All day long, those bags are reinflating and inflating in order to regulate the overall pressure on the airship, so it stays the same. So that's things you never had to worry. You don't have to worry about in an airplane. You don't have to worry about, oh, there's clouds overhead, so my airplane just became 75% heavier. Or maybe not that much. I'd say 25% heavier than it was 5 minutes ago. That's some kind of thing you have to think about with a blimp.
So how do you go about learning to fly a blimp? Do you go to type school, or it's not like you can go to your flight school and learn how to fly a blimp?
No, it's not like you go to the FSI and drop down 20 grand and get a type rating in it, right? All our training is done in the ship. There's no simulator. It's all done in the ship. And we don't have like a dedicated training blimp, so it's all done with the 3 ships, any given time, one of which may be in its maintenance period. In between passenger rides and football games, and then weather cancels and everything else. So it takes a long time to get the training done, and that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is this thing's really hard to learn how to fly. I'm a 20-year Air Force career. I've got time in a bunch of different airplanes. This is the hardest thing I've ever learned how to fly.
And why is that?
Just because it's like right now we're kind of flying like an airplane. Taking off, we kind of fly like a helicopter. We're always like a boat on the water in the current. Especially on a windy day like today. Sometimes all those things happen in a 10-second period. Sometimes you don't know which one it's going to act like, which one you need it to act like. So you're switching between all those little modes in a little 10-second period to get it on the ground. There's a lot of like little subtle cues and stuff that you pick up over time. It's not, every single airplane out there almost lands the same way, right? You got your approach speed, and then at this point over the threshold, you pull the power to idle, you flare, and you land, right?
Yeah.
And I know they're not all like that. I'm generalizing. So as I was saying, this one, every single landing today is different. If it's 10 knots of wind versus 20 knots of wind, it's different. If we get a gust halfway through, it's different. If the landing in the evening when the helium's cooled down a little bit is going to be different than it was at the beginning of the day when the helium was expanded. So your weights are different. Your way it reacts in the wind is different. Every time is different. So it takes a while to really kind of come to terms with that and realize that, like, okay, this isn't like every other airplane you learn or helicopter that you learn to fly in your life. So it's a different way of thinking about a different way of flying. I don't like the term seat of the pants, but there is some more like feel to the flying than just the numbers. We definitely certainly have numbers and limitations and stuff that we watch, but there is a lot more of a feel for it. You're flying it all the time. There's no autopilot. There's usually when we're on a long flight, about every hour we'll swap out. But if Adam gets tired or you need to use the restroom, then I fly. That's the autopilot. There's no, there's nobody taken over for you mechanically.
Well, that's a great question. You mentioned using the restroom. Is there a restroom on board?
There is. It's right back there. It's actually got a window. We call it the loo with a view.
Oh, well.
And as far as I know, I think I coined that term. Because we all started using it a couple years ago, but I think I coined it. Yeah, the loo with a view.
That's incredible. So what speeds are you guys typically cruising at?
So right now for a passenger flight, we're going nice and slow. He's only going 30 knots. Our max speed, the book says 70. No way. I mean, that would be absolutely ideal atmospheric conditions, sea level, without any of the additional drag that we have on the ship. You know, the night sign, it would add drag, antennas, and everything else. Realistically, on a pretty smooth day, we can get up to low 60s. If a day like today where it's bumpy, probably 45 knots would be about it. It'd be a really rough ride, much faster, 45 or 50. And then, of course, weather is a big thing for us. That's probably the hardest thing as a airplane pilot coming to, and not being able to just, well, let's just take off and go around that storm or over it, but because you can't outrun it. You know, I mean, we're not fast enough. You can't go high enough. So really, a lot of weather things. We don't like to be anywhere in thunderstorms or near thunderstorms. We don't like anything that's going to add weight. So heavy snow, icing, and zero icing condition. We don't any kind of icing, even trace, man. We're out. And then winds, of course, they affect us quite a bit. And the ship you're in right now, we got a wrap on it to look like the original Goodyear Blimp, the Pilgrim.
That's incredible. Well, obviously a lot of history. What does it mean to you personally to be a part of something so historic?
It's cool because, I mean, this is so much more than an aircraft and it started off as a public relations and a marketing tool, right? But it's become so much more to that. It's become it's an icon. So, people, I get, there'll be one of the other few blimps in the world flying over some city in Ogden, Texas. Is that you out there? Well, no, that's, Joe Schmo's blimp, whoever it is. But if anybody sees blimp, they think Goodyear. And that's ultimately the purpose of it is to, we want people to think when they decide to buy tires that, oh, Goodyear, that's on the top of their mind. So.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe, for bringing us along today. And I can't wait to look out these big windows and enjoy the view and enjoy the air show from a completely different.
Yeah, it's a completely, and then the other ships out there flying around, he was just out here a little bit ago.
Way down.
So, okay, yeah, they're lower enough. But they're,
you got pulled out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But, you don't often see other blimps from the air. So we don't operate near each other a whole lot.